The uncompleted fuel station shares boundaries with some residencies, eateries and the University of Professional Studies in Accra. Residents say they have since the inception of the project complained to the developer to relocate because they fear an explosion will result in preventable deaths, injuries and loss of properties. A resident who spoke to the news team on condition of anonymity said they might head to the law courts if the appeal does not yield any positive results.
It is not good for this area, considering what has that has before this country before. Looking at the June 3rd incident and also looking at this place, the place, the site they are using is just behind the University of Professional Studies, and there are so many hostels and residents around. Should anything happen, it will go against the neighborhood, and this is not a good location for this place. And I would be very grateful that this project is stopped. This, according to them, they have approval from the Environmental Protection Agency, and I don't know if the Environmental Protection Agency has been here themselves and they have given the approval for this thing to be put here. Then it's very bad. I don't think that anybody will come and see this location and give this location, know that Shell Oil it's behind us, and that is what we found out, and we want Shell Oil to come out and speak. And if indeed there are those behind it, then they should be fair to the neighbors, because they should know that this is not a good place.
The developer of the project, Johnny Blagoji, says his company, Strategic Energies Limited, has acquired the requisite documents to undertake the project. He says his company has met requirements from the Environmental Protection Agency, National Petroleum Authority and the Municipal Assembly.
There are procedures for, granting permits for these filling stations. And Shell has gone through all the procedures, including neighborhood consent. And for that matter, we've been granted a permit to construct the station by NPA, by EPA, and by the council.
For the residents, they feel that they are not safe because the location of the project is within a residential area, close to stores, close to buildings, close to churches and schools, and I think that it poses too much of a risk to their existence. What do you say to that?
They are overly, overstating their fear or something. But we are bent on putting up the filling station to a standard. If you go to Europe, you see filling stations under houses, under residences, and there's no problem. As for accidents, yeah, I mean, it can occur anywhere, even if you're in your house. A truck can run into the house.
The residents are preparing to petition the municipal chief executive to intervene in the matter. For Joy News, Derek Sam Medina.
And Derek's report sets the tone for our conversation here on my banner this morning. This issue of fuel stations in neighborhoods behind either tertiary institutions or educational facilities, if you like, and health facilities in some cases, as I have personally witnessed at the Westlands area at West Legon. A lot of us have issues, but really, what does the law say? Sometimes we complain without knowing what the law itself says about fuel stations and their locations. Either in Accra, there have been shutdowns in Sekondi, Takoradi. A lot of concerns coming from the Eastern region and the Ashanti region as well. So this morning on my banner, we thought we would speak to the EPA on this subject. Chief Program Officer William Hayfron Aqua is joining me for a conversation. Good morning to you. Thank you for being here.
You're most welcome.
Okay. So let's start off this way. What kind of requirements do you have to meet before setting up a fuel station?
Okay, thank you. I think before we grant a permit for anybody to put up a filling station, first of all, the person has to get a land.
Okay.
And let me explain. The Town and Country Planning, which is the statutory planning authority for the country, by law, has zoning status for all kind of activities. They have zoned some areas for residential, some for commercial, some for light industrial and heavy industrial areas. But whichever zone that you pick, be it residential, commercial, industrial, there are some services that has to go along with. And fuel service station is one of the services that the community needs. So the law or the laws of the land permits EPA to grant permit to filling stations, even within a built-up area.
Okay.
The critical thing we need to ask, if we don't want them in the residential areas, where do Ghanaians want us to allow the filling stations to be sited? Assuming you're living at Adenta, if we decide that we have to put all the filling stations in industrial enclaves, by the way, how many industrial enclaves do we have as a country? We don't have them. And therefore, we have to, site them close to the people so people can access the fuel and run their vehicles.
Okay, so can I get something a bit clearer here? Are you putting or allowing the fuel stations in the residential facilities because you don't have enough space in the typical commercial centers? Or they are supposed to be living with us?
They are supposed to be living with us.
Okay.
There's a global practice. Ghana is not sitting on an island. There are best practices as we see every day in other jurisdictions. So EPA has not done anything wrong by allowing fuel service stations to be located close to residences.
So what it means is that the Environmental Protection Agency is aware of what is going on?
Certainly, we are. But let me explain. We do not just give permit to people. When we give you the permit, there are permitting conditions that you need to abide with.
Okay. Before you even go on, can you have two stations, side by side? Because I've seen
back to back.
Back to back. Is it allowed?
In the past, we allowed it, but since last year, all the stakeholder institutions have come together. We've developed a new guidelines for siting of fuel service stations and LPG in the country. And now we have set, separating distances. In the past, they could be back to back, but as we speak, they're separating distances.
I've seen two come up back to back this year, 2016.
Yeah.
On the Westlands Road. And there's a hospital right behind where this back to back fuel station is. This came up this year.
Okay. I think I know about what you're talking about. Let me explain that when a policy is introduced, it doesn't take retrospective effects. And therefore, before the guideline was, came into being, permit had already been granted to this, business people to construct. And that is how come you see that example. But as I'm speaking, now when an application is made, it goes to a national technical committee with all the stakeholder institutions. We all look at it based on the new guidelines that we've set. And so, as I'm saying, now we are saying that if there's a station, at this point, before we can grant another permit, you should be able to get 500 meters separating them. If it doesn't it doesn't get to that distance, we don't allow.
So how about opposites?
Opposite.
Like we have, if you go down our road where we are in Kokomlimli, you find a Shell and you find a Total. They're directly opposite each other.
Yeah. As I did say, in the past, we were not so much bothered about they being opposite to each other. But with the new guidelines, what we've said is that if the road is a single carriage, we will not allow them to be sited opposite to each other. But if it's a dual carriage with a physical barrier, you see the concrete barrier they do.
And there is on this road, it's a major road.
So in that case, the buffer is wide, and therefore that can be allowed. But on a single lane, as we speak, we wouldn't allow that.
Okay. So maybe a personal opinion from somebody who doesn't know the law as you know it. I'm looking at this particular location at Westlands, West Legon, where there's Medifem, which is a huge hospital, where there's a school almost opposite where these fuel stations are sited, and this is back to back because you've got two fuel stations, and I'm thinking that this couldn't be right, but the EPA doesn't think so, right?
Yeah, we don't think so.
So what do you look at in an environment like that?
Let me ask you this question. You drive a car, I believe.
Yes, I do.
Do you know you are carrying a fuel service station along?
I do.
Sit by it. Do you use LPG gas in your home? Do you?
Most homes in Ghana do.
Yes. I mean, do we know we are having, a filling station, an LPG station right in our kitchen? That one that you are living with in your kitchen and the one that is external, which one poses the most danger, if I should put it to you and to all Ghanaians? So that, So
the fact that we're carrying some amount of risk by driving or by having the LPG gas in our homes means we should take a lot more risk by siting more fuel stations in our residential facilities.
I wouldn't say so. By having the filling stations closer to us, let me explain that there are safety measures that we ask the operators to put in. Let me explain, like if you tell me that, it can explode or whatever. When you walk to any filling station, there's something we call vent pipes, okay? The tanks, underground storage tanks, are buried. And there's a vent pipe that is attached to the underground storage tank. What it does is to, allow the heat to be, to be vented out.
Okay.
Okay. So if nothing is done in that case, then you have, pressure building up in the tank. But because of that vent pipes, any pressure that begins to, build up is vented out, and therefore it doesn't pose any danger to anybody either close by. Aside that, there are other safety controls. The fire, let's ask ourselves, fuel service station has been a historical industry. We've been living with it all these years. When I was growing up, I saw them. We've lived with them. How many incidents or accidents have we experienced with filling stations vis-a-vis other fires in marketplaces, at offices and in our homes?
Okay.
So we want to assure Ghanaians that the issue of fuel station is not as hazardous as people may think.
All right.
Or there are safety
let's talk to the fire experts now, because when there are emergencies, they are the first to get to the location. So we'll be joined by a fire officer right here on this conversation. And if you've got any comment, you can pass it on to us. Send us WhatsApp message on 0560 800,000. This is my banner.
This week on the Joy Business Van, we encounter the Python 4 again, this time at the third startup dialogue.
People said to us, be cautious, partnerships are dangerous. When business becomes successful, then things will change, then somebody will take your money.
Learn how their story is inspiring other young people to start their own businesses.
You don't take no for an answer.
The Joy Business Van is on radio, TV, online, and on the ground. The Joy Business Van
is empowered by Joy Business and supported by Busy, making good things happen.
Your vote is more than a thumbprint, more than party colors, more than family history. Your vote is the future. Join the conversation on Election 2016 on TV, radio, online, and mobile. #ElectionHQ.
On my banner this morning, we're looking at the siting of fuel stations and the concerns that a lot of us have, particularly when we find those stations in our neighborhoods. Apparently, there's nothing wrong with it. The EPA assesses the situation and they can live with us in the community. So what do the firemen also think about this situation? What are the concerns that they have? I started the conversation with Mr. William Hayfron Aqua, who's Chief Program Officer with the Environmental Protection Agency. Now we're being joined by Deputy National PRO for the Ghana Fire Service, Mr. Billy Anaglate. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Why do you always leave the prince?
Oh, Mr. Prince Billy Anaglate.
Thank you.
Yes. So thank you for coming.
Thank you.
You get to emergencies. You are like the first point of call when there are emergencies. This issue of fuel stations where they are sited, do you have any concerns?
Yeah, we do. You see, with all this talk about a filling station within communities, I'm glad he said we could still live by them. One of the most important things is about safety measures put in place. If actually we want to ensure or mitigate any danger associated or any hazard associated with filling stations, then we should go back and look at the safety precautionary, protection and preventive measures. In spite of all the measures that we put across, the distances and other things, if we do not have adequate safety measures put in place, if we do not have people having the safety, knowledge as to what to do, then I think we need to be talking about the dangers or hazards associated with it. Our concern is that every filling station should ensure that they have facilities to either prevent the disaster or minimize the impact when it occurred. What are people scared of? They are scared of explosions. What are people scared of? They are scared of the ignition point or the hot spots at filling station. We all know before a fire will occur on a filling station, if it is not an explosion, then it is maximum rich vaporized gas within the area where somebody introduced, fire or heated point before that fire occurred. So if we have what it takes, if we have all the facilities, if I should pick it from one point to the other, quite recently there were people talking about even gas filling station in communities, but I keep saying that even you have a gas filling station in your community, and that gas filling station has facilities to prevent the disaster, then we don't have an issue to talk about. What are some of those facilities we are talking? If you have a gas filling station, what the fire service is concerned, and what we look out for is that we ensure that the tank farm itself has facilities. The tank itself should have sprinklers that would ensure that it reduce the heat buildup on the tank before any gas tank should explode. The main cause of explosion of those tanks, gas tanks, are when they are subjected to excessive heat to a certain temperature. So if you have sprinklers on it to reduce and to cool them, then you are ensuring that there shouldn't be explosion at all. If you have facilities also to detect any leakage of a gas or any facility to ensure that visibly people are able to monitor and to ensure that leakages are controlled, then I don't think we have a problem of talking about it. Because I heard him talking about people having gas cylinders in their kitchen.
Yes.
I say that's a good point. They have those gas cylinders. When they are leaking, what do? They put blocks on it. But they are the very people that will be crying foul that we have gas tank or gas filling station close by. So if we are not able to put in the slightest measure in your room to prevent explosion of your gas cylinder, and we are talking about the bigger one, probably if they have all the measures that I've just enumerated,
then that's not a legitimate call.
Then you don't have it.
So do you, as fire officers, go around to look at these facilities and the kind of fire safety measures they have in place?
Exactly, we do. But I would say the unfortunate June 3rd situation has brought a lot of measures that we are now looking at. Apart from all the agencies, I'm happy he's here. We are still on the drawing table. We are reviewing a lot of measures that we will have to look at before some of those gas filling station or petrol filling station are permitted.
You have a say in whether the permit is granted or not.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. We also have to assess the hazard within the area, the safety measure. So before you even construct the gas filling station, we have already given you safety measures that you need to implement within the area.
So what do you think about a hospital, a major hospital facility behind a fuel station, and then an educational facility opposite the fuel station? And we're talking about a fuel station that is back to back. What do you think about that?
For now that we are even looking at the distance that it should be, previously we also look at the distance, but the most important thing is the safety measures. Both that public facility is also supposed to have safety measures put in place. The filling station is also supposed to have adequate safety measures put in place. Like we're asking whether we get into filling stations and ensuring that they have those things. For now, we have task forces that have been assigned specifically to filling stations. So day in, day out, they are moving out to look out for those ones. That has not ended it. I stated here that people should also have the basic knowledge of safety, especially the attendants at the filling station. So we have started training all the staff of petroleum industries. There are a lot of them that we have even trained. From Goyle Marketing company, a lot of their staff have already been trained. More are also on the line to be trained. If you are trained into the safety issue, what hazard could be, and you have the eye to identify hazard within the premises, then as much as the slightest sign indicates that yes, there could be hazard, you should also be able to know what to do.
Okay. So, Mr. Hefonakwa, if I have concerns, or my neighbors do, because there's a fuel station that's about coming up in my area, and they call on you, what do you do in that instance?
What we do is to respond to the complaint. We wouldn't say that because we think that we've given all the safety conditions for the operators to deal with. We wouldn't respond. We go there and we assess the situation. If it, as he's saying, the key thing has to do with the safety measures, and that is what we are enforcing. Now, if we go to any filling station, there's a violation, we surcharge them huge penalties, and they are paying. We not just the penalty.
Do you close them down? I mean, what leads to closure?
What leads to closure is when there's a violation to the permit, the very permitting condition we've given. So if we ask you to do ABC, we come and you're doing the contrary, which poses danger, we need to close you, fine you, and ask you to rectify the problem, after which then we can open for you to continue with your business.
All right. I want to cross over to my colleague Derek Ekosam, who is at Medina, the Ritz Junction. Neighbors or residents, I must say, are calling a certain fuel station that's coming up as illegal. I don't know if you're aware of that or not, but we want to listen in to their concerns now as we join Derek Ekosam.
It's one that has got a lot of people talking, especially after the June 3 disaster that claimed about 150 lives. I'm talking about the sighting of fuel stations in residential areas. People who live close to these sites speak a lot, especially following the loss of life when a fuel station exploded along the Spintex-Barcelona Road. I am here at Ritz Junction around the Medina area, and we have one of these facilities springing up. I want to speak to somebody who lives close to the area to tell me what he or she, or how he or she feels about all of this. They are agitating. They say they fear their lives may be lost should there be an explosion. Mami, good morning. You're enjoying it. Hope you are fine.
Good morning. I'm very fine.
But you don't look okay. You have issues with the sighting of the fuel station here?
Exactly. I have issue with that. Why? Because of what happened at Circle. The fire disaster that happened at Circle. The thing is so close to my house, and I'm scared. I'm very much afraid. Should something happen, definitely I'll be the first person. And with a filling station and a fire outbreak, it will be very unfortunate. But after, what would happen if it has happened and I have been a victim of that? I cannot sit down to experience something like that. I must come out with it. When I come out with it, then people will know that at least when the thing was being done there, she complained about it. And I'm not too happy. I'm not too happy.
I understand how you...
work is going on in the night. We cannot even sleep as I'm talking to you. They work throughout the night, and it makes it impossible. My son's room, even the window is so close to the place. And I wonder, when the tractors are working and all that, I cannot explain it all to you, but we have experienced something we think is not very good, and we are talking about it so that the public will know, and people even around the area, they are not happy about it. We've asked a few people, we've mentioned it. Initially, they said it was not a filling station, so we were okay for that. But
what did they say it was?
It was, some said it's a plaza, it's a supermarket. But recently I went over there because it's so close to me, just to be sure of what is happening there. And one of them mentioned to me that it's a supermarket and a filling station. So that is my problem now.
Well, this is not the first of its kind where a fuel station is being sited in a residential area. The EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, they say that we are not developing as we should because in other countries you have fuel stations even under hotels. What do you say to that?
Under hotels?
Yes.
It's dangerous. It's dangerous.
All they are saying is that if the safety precautions are followed, you don't have anything to fear.
Yeah, but because we don't know, even for them to come over and tell me, because you are my neighbor, come over and let me know what is happening. He refused to come and tell me. So what do? I have to go and get somebody to come to my aid. So I'm putting this across so that people will know. And then should something happen, maybe not today, I may not be there, but my children and my whole family, they will suffer for this thing. So I'm complaining.
That's one resident here who is complaining about the siting of the fuel station in her area. She says very close to the house. Let me speak to this young man who also lives in this area. What have you been told about this supposed fuel station that is growing up?
Well, I've been told, you know, this is the fuel station, and I basically live you can see it right here. That's my room, you know, and they're working day and night. You know, I plead with whoever is handling this to probably, maybe EPA should put a stop to it.
Do you know who owns this place?
I really do not know. I just see the cars coming, they go, and these guys are working day and night. You know, I'm really suffering. I've not had any rest for the past 2 weeks since this has been going on. And, you know, for some reason, I feel I've sent a letter to EPA, you know, and they've told me these guys do not have a permit. That's what they told me. So we're looking, you know, at what EPA is going to do.
Have you followed up to your municipal assembly to get answers to whoever owns this place, whether or not the person has permit? And also the argument from the EPA is that if the safety precautions are followed, there's nothing to fear.
Well, my very life, you know, is threatened. My very existence is threatened with a filling station right next to my house. I feel very threatened. I'm not the same person I am, you know, before. This is just threatening to my life. And if there's a way they can get these guys to stop, I'll be very happy. Everyone in the area is talking about it, but, you know, most of them have gone to work, so you probably will not get access to them at the moment.
I understand the fact that you feel threatened and you feel insecure, but what if you are told that the safety precautions are being followed and so there won't be anything like an explosion? Would that put you at ease?
Well, I mean, they are the professionals, and when they say, you know, that probably that will do, but I doubt, because, you know, there are most filling stations are sited about 100 meters or 50 meters away, and the fumes are coming directly into my room. So, I mean, it's not about safety precautions, it's about the fumes coming from the fuel directly. So for me, I don't think that's safe.
Well, for the residents here, they are afraid they may lose their lives should there be an explosion. They are also talking about the effects this will have on them psychologically and emotionally. My name is Derek Akosam, and this has been Roving Report for today.
Right, very interesting, and we know that even as a call goes to Medina, the Ritz Junction area, there are other people in so many areas. We heard about this gas facility in Dansoman, lots of agitations. We've heard about agitations in the Sekondi Takoradi area as well, so almost everywhere in the country. This particular issue at Medina Ritz Junction, that has come to your attention, Mr. Hefon Akwa.
Yeah, I must say that it's yesterday late in the afternoon that a gentleman walked in with a complaint, a letter complaining about the up and coming fuel service station. So when I got the letter, what I did was to call the officer in charge of that area to find out whether they've received an application. But he told me it's not something that he could readily tell. And so I requested him to follow up this morning, get to find out if they have permit or not. If they have no permit, we have to stop them straight away.
But okay, but you know, you stop them, but they can apply for permits.
Yeah, I mean, if you now, what the committee, the national committee is saying is that if you finish building, then you come, will not grant you the permit. In the past, that was the practice, because sometimes they think the permit delays, so they go ahead, construct, and come for us to regularize. But now we've told industry, when the guidelines came out, we had a forum with industry, explained to them that, look, we need to bring sanity into the industry, and therefore, before you make any attempt to build, make sure you've secured all the, permit from all the regulators. And that is why we sit at a common table now to give approvals to applications. So if we check and the person hasn't got a permit, we have every right to stop their project.
How long does it take to give permits? I mean, how the processes that you have to go through before you get your permit to put up the structure?
Oh, I must say with EPA, now in the past you start the process with us, but now with the new guidelines, you need to go and obtain what we call no objection letter from National Petroleum Authority. Okay. They will give you no objection letter. You go to Town and Country Planning, obtain your zoning status. Then you come to EPA. So when you come to EPA now, I can say that within a matter of 3 weeks, at most 1 month, we should be able to issue the permit.
And what are you looking at?
We look at, the surrounding conditions. We look at compatibility. Can the facility coexist with the adjoining, land uses? That is critical. And that is what the zoning, the Town and Country Planning finished the agency with. Because they are the statutory planning authorities, they have schemed the areas for the various land uses. They have to advise us that, yes, this project can coexist with the facilities around. Based on that, we grant the permit.
Okay.
But we also do our own independent professional judgment. We use our professional judgment as much as possible. When neighbors complain, let me say for a fact, in Ghana here, people are so envious. That is the truth. Sometimes the neighbor wanted that plot for a similar project. He did not get it. Mr. A gets it, and that becomes a problem for him. He will complain and complain. We had a chief executive. We had a managing director who presided over, a GWEL as a company for over 20 years. At the time he was an MD, he never knew that he was presiding over a hazardous or risk, activity. Now he goes on retirement. Someone wants to do a fuel service station in the neighborhood. And this man went to court several times, but I'm glad the court, made him to understand that it's not what you want, it's about the laws of the land. And therefore, these things are happening.
There was one eyewitness, but this had to do with the minister, surprisingly, and it was so close to his house.
Okay.
But, you know, the fuel station is still standing. Okay, so finally, I know that you like to leave us with some fire information, what we have to do. If you live in the neighborhood, like the woman who was complaining as a fire officer, what would you say to her? She's got a lot of fears, legitimate fears, though.
Well, the first thing I think, if you are not sure whether the people are meeting the safety standard or their attitude or behavior shows that probably they might be violating some of those safety measures, you can report to the fire service. We are going out actually to inspect whether they have, and I know they also have a good concern, because places that we've gone to inspect them, you realize some of them are violating the safety measures. We heard that quite recently some filling stations have been closed down by the fire service because of failure to meet the standard.
So you also have the power to close down?
Yes, as we are talking, there are a few that are still being closed down, have not yet been opened.
Okay.
Because we look at the hazard. Ours is about public protection, you know, so the safety of the people and the safety of the environment, all that is looked at, then we'll be able to determine. So we close down filling stations that are not meeting the standard. It is difficult, though, that one of our requirements is that the attendants, the people that are working there, should be given fire safety training. But when they change staff, it's difficult for us to determine who has been trained and who has not been trained. So if you fail to bring those people to us, we wouldn't know who will be on duty before the unexpected happens. If you look at the grave situation that we are all talking about, everybody around, not only even the attendants, the lot of people, the number of people that were there, everybody was saying that they saw the fuel components on the surface of the water, but none of them, you know, could do what was expected by calling the fire service, that would have gotten there to flood the area with foam compound. That would have reduced the ignition temperature of what has actually happened.
Okay.
So it is important that everybody should know the situation.
So when people have concerns, as they call on the Environmental Protection Agency, they can also call on the fire service.
Yeah, when they receive the call, they don't go alone. You know, that's the team. We have the team.
Okay.
A rep of fire service, join them. So when we also get there, we also look at the safety aspect pertaining to fire service.
Okay. So please, your new regulations, are they in effect?
Oh yeah, they are in effect. It came to effect November 2015.
Okay.
So that is what we're implementing now.
Okay, all right. For some Ghanaians, including myself, we're always thinking that everything and anything is possible when you have a lot of money, you know, so that you can go behind the doors and things like that and sort yourself out. It doesn't matter how the people agitate, how often they even do that. Are you giving us the absolute assurance that when people bring concerns forward to the EPA, you look at the concerns without considering what anybody else has in terms of money or influence?
Sure. I want to assure all Ghanaians that money is not everything. And for us, we listen to the people. There's no way we'll brush away their concerns. Certainly we'll visit, but I mean, sometimes the concerns may not be justified, but that is what we have to explain to the person concerned. So we want to tell them that we are there because of them. The first and foremost, I mean, objective is to protect lives and property, and therefore we are there to serve their interests.
All right.
Great.
We have to leave our conversation here. Some of you sent messages. Let me just wrap up with some. I think it's very bad to cite fuel station in our neighborhood from Zion Shama Junction, saying as that message. This one says, with the issue of fuel station all over in town, I think the main thing to look out is safety. If the personnel are trained and all safety measures are put in place, then you can even have fuel station in your bedroom. No big deal. Safety, 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 and you're okay. From Frederick in Takrady, kind of speaking the mind of Mr. Naglati. Please ask the gentleman if the EPA usually visits some of this filling stations to look at their equipment and surrounding. If yes, what are the observations? Because some of them are not using the right equipment. Please come to Takrady and see for yourself, from Kojo at Lubo. And the final one I'll read, it's very unfortunate that we as a country always defend any wrongdoing by our conducts. The EPA officer was talking about having fuels in our car and LPG in our house, what I would expect from him is to spell out the safety measures put in place to minimize any disaster should it occur, and not to think that fuel stations sited back to back close to public institutions, nothing wrong about. Father Collins, Goso in Bona Hafo, and we have to leave our conversation here and make way for talk. Thanks to Mr. Prince Billy Anaglate and Mr. William K. Hefron Akko of the EPA. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here.
Thank you for mentioning the name.
Now the Prince has
Stay
come.
on. We've got talk coming up right after this.